Hi, this is Professor Favors with the lecture of Pronouns and Pronoun Shifts. So I'm going to give you the lecture and then look at some examples. This lecture corresponds with the readings, the practices, the quizzes, and the assignments. So this is the lecture on pronouns and pronoun shifts that corresponds to practices, assignments, and quizzes. Information is taken directly from the course text, which is Fundamentals of College Writing. Be sure to read that text for additional help. Use this lecture as a guide to complete the assignments and quizzes. So pronoun case, when you're thinking about pronoun case and where to place the pronoun within a sentence, you have to understand the different types of cases, whether a pronoun is part of the subjective case, that means that the pronoun is used as a subject or in the subject position. Objective case, whether the pronoun is used as objects or it receives the object, and that's usually the objects of verbs or prepositions. And then possessive case, whether the pronoun expresses ownership, as in me, mine, your, yours, etc. So let's look at some singular pronouns. Here's a typical um, table here. So singular pronouns, you have first person, second person, and third person. So your subject pronouns and your objective pronouns and your possessive pronouns will basically tell you where to place the actual pronoun within a sentence. So we know that subject pronouns are I, you, and then he, she, it, who, and whomever. The objective pronouns is the person receives the object. So the girl is nice to me. The nice part of it, the to me or the me is the actual objective pronoun, and so you are receiving the object of nice. So the objective pronouns me, you, him, her, it, whomever. So think about like a ball. Who are you throwing the ball to? I am throwing the ball to him. I am throwing the ball to her. The him and the her, or the it, or whom, or whoever receives the object. And then possessive pronouns is just essentially what belongs to you. So my, mine, your, yours, his, her, hers, its, and whose, right? And so it is her book. It is my book. The house belongs to mine, to my grandmother. The house belongs to your grandmother, right? It's a possessive pronoun. So if you look at a sample sentence, singular, the secret stays between you and me. The me is the objective pronoun here, and it's receiving the object of secret, right? Who rang the doorbell? So that's the person who is in the subject position, and so then it's going to be a subject pronoun here, as you see. Okay, now let's look at plural pronouns. So we have first person, second person, third person, of course, subject, object, and possessive. We, you, they, and then objective us, you, them, and then possessive our, ours, your, yours, their, and theirs. So we took the dog to the pound. You take the dog to the pound. They took the dog to the pound, right? Or they gave us the dog to take to the pound, or they gave us our dog to take to the pound, right? It just depends on where you place it within the sentence. And then here are some sample sentences. We are very glad that you could make it to our party. So we understand that we and our actually complement each other. So you wouldn't say we are very glad that you can make it to your party, right? Of course. And then they left their garage open. So they and their tells you that this is plural. And the subject already tells you whether or not the verb is going to be plural or singular, and whether any pronoun that refers to the subject as an antecedent is going to be plural or singular. So let's look at some sentence exercises. The couple ordered lobster to celebrate their anniversary. So couple is considered singular in this sentence, even if it is sort of like a plural subject. And so then the there here would be the actual sentence, would be the actual pronoun. So let's write it. A couple ordered lobster to celebrate their anniversary. So anniversary, their anniversary is in the singular. Okay. The snake slithered closer to Michael and him. Um, so the snake slithered closer, slithered closer to Michael and him, because the him here is receiving the object of the snake. It's a strange sentence. So let's look at Lionel. Lionel brought fiance to the basketball game. So Lionel brought his fiance. So Lionel brought his fiance, because Lionel is a male, to the basketball game. Okay, so his fiance, and it's in the possessive, right? And then Michael went to the park. Michael and went to the park. So they're both in the subject position, and the me will be at the end of a sentence, not in the subject position. So it's Michael and I went to the park. Okay, so I is in the subject position. Okay, and so these are your sentences to help you understand the difference between subject, object, possessive. Just remember that the subject pronoun is always in the subject position of a sentence, right? The object pronoun, objective pronoun, is always the person receiving the object. I threw the ball to him, right? And him is the objective. And then, of course, possessive pronoun is whether you possess something or not. So then let's look at pronoun case. The discussion on pronoun case can be found on page 105 in the course text. So a pronoun shift happens when you change the point of view in a sentence. You could change the point of view from first person to second or third person. You could also shift the pronouns in number, as in singular, plural. Pronoun shifts interrupt the flow of ideas, because a lot of times we don't know who is saying what or what it refers to. We might start out knowing, but then the pronouns are shifting to the point that we don't quite know if the ideas are continuing with that same person. So sample shift in point of view from third person to second person. So this is the incorrect. If people do not drink water, you can get dehydrated. Okay, the correct way to say this is, if people, which is the subject of the sentence, do not drink water, they can get dehydrated. A lot of times we write the same way we talk. So when we're shifting point of view or our pronoun case, it's because we're thinking like the person is in front of us or something, or we're sort of pushing this idea on the person instead of just looking at us as individuals. So if you remove people and you put I, if I do not drink water, you can get dehydrated. A lot of times that's not us continuing the idea from the I point of view. But if I do not drink water, I can get dehydrated. That's still keeping me within the context of my point of view as well as my responsibility. So this is the first sentence is a shift from third person to second person, and the correct is the point of view stays in the third person. So third person plural, third person plural. Okay. So if we look at sample shift from singular to plural in number, a doctor must study for many years before they can practice medicine. And I don't know why we shift like that, but again, it is because we are writing the same way we talk. But if we changed the subject of the sentence and made it plural in the same way that the pronoun is plural, then we would have a correct sentence. So doctors must study for many years before they can practice medicine. So the first sentence is a shift from singular to plural, and the second one stays the same. There are exceptions to the rule when it comes to pronoun case. So these exceptions to the rule, there are a class of pronouns that will always be considered singular, and this is where we always get turned around. And this is usually has a lot to do with thinking that anyone, everyone, anybody, everybody, someone, somebody, each sort of sounds plural to us, because if we were in a room with a lot of different people, we would say everyone in the room. um we would think that those people are plural. right? But these are a class of pronouns that will always be considered singular. So therefore, you create a singular verb for them, and you make sure that the corresponding pronoun uh, is singular as well. So let's look at a sample sentence. Each of the students completed their homework. Well, there is really considered, there can be possessive, but it's also considered plural. So each of the students completed his, her homework. And his or her is usually his or her in academic writing. So his or her. So let's look at sample sentences. The first sentence is if someone wants to join the study group, he or she must entail the group must email the group leader. So let's rewrite it. If someone wants to join the study group, he or she must email the group leader because it's singular. And we don't know whether or not it is plural. So this is singular. Okay. When we drove past the accident, blank could see numerous police vehicles had arrived. So we already started out with a plural subject, which is we. So then the pronoun is going to stay in the we. So when we drove past the accident, comma, we could see numerous police vehicles had arrived. So it stays the same. The we that we have here in subject position is the same we that we have in number and in plural and in number that we have in the pronoun. Okay. Each of the students has his or her own laptop. So each of the students has his or her own laptop. Okay. So his or her is your correct answer here. Okay. This is considered singular. Everyone brought his or her book to class. You know, it's kind of strange. No matter, even though I'm typing it here, I still want to put their book to class because it's in a possessive, but we're just going to put his or her book to class because we know that his or her is the correct answer because book is in the singular. Okay. If it was everyone brought uh, books to class, then it would likely be everyone brought their books to class. But book is in the singular. And then at the new VR hospital, veterans feel welcomed at the door. They are greeted by cheerful volunteers because veterans is actually in the plural, right? A lot of times we still want to use this second person use. So at the new VR hospital, veterans feel welcome at the door. They are greeted by cheerful volunteers. Okay, and that keeps that in plural form, third person. Veterans is in plural form, person, and they correspond to each other. So this is the lecture on pronouns and pronoun shifts. Take some time to listen to this video again if you need to. Be sure to complete the assignments and quizzes connected to this lecture. Thank you for listening.